Hey, Steve-O here with Total Finishing. Today I'm going to demonstrate on how to disassemble your lower fluid section on your MEDUSA 30-to-1 pump and install new upper and lower packing. This maintenance is performed if you're experiencing any material buildup near or around the wet cup where you should be applying throat seal. Though it is recommended that you contact one of our change agents to send your unit in to get it inspected by one of our equipment specialists. This is a really simple process, and all you need is a few simple tools. The tools that you're going to need are one, a dead blow hammer, a few different crescent wrench sizes, preferably one without teeth and that are flat between the jaws. A 16 millimeter box wrench, metric set of Allen keys, thread sealant, plumber's tape, lithium grease. You want to avoid using anything that has petroleum in it. Your packing kit, which is your upper and lower, TFS MEDUSA number 003, throat seal lubricant, and also it is helpful to have a parts diagram of the pump so you could reference to. You could access that on the Total Finishing supply site. And that's pretty much all you need. Let's get started. So we're going to start by first removing the fluid filter manifold. Next, we're going to go ahead and remove these swivel fittings that connect the manifold. And I'm going to use a dead blow hammer to help pry some of these parts loose. There we go. And then we're going to start from the bottom, work our way up. First, we're going to go ahead and take off the fluid suction valve. Next, we're going to take off the cylinder housing. And once this is off, this should expose the lower packing and spring. So we're going to slide this completely off. There's your lower packing and spring. Okay. And then next we're going to go ahead and use a number 6 Allen key to remove the socket cap bolts that retain the central housing here. And make sure you pay attention to these washers for these socket cap bolts. All right, now we can remove this central housing here and spacer. We're going to go ahead and pull on this piston so we expose as much as we can. So, and all you do is just pull. Actually, I believe we have to remove this bottom section here first. So we're going to use our 16 millimeter box wrench. There's some little grooves here that you could cinch that wrench onto, and then we're going to use our crescent wrench to pry this apart. And if you need to, use your dead blow hammer. So now that we got that loose, we can go ahead and remove this lower packing section. Okay, and then make sure you keep everything in the same orientation you took it off, just because we're going to reference to that later by reassembling everything. So now we could go ahead and take off our central housing. There's our spring for our upper packing. And what you'll see here, once we get off this central housing, you will need a dental pick to remove all of the upper packing. So here we got our dental pick, and we're just going to pick out each one of those packing layers. Here's one, and we want to make sure we remember the orientation of how we're taking this out and stack one on top of the other so we don't forget which order they go into. All right, and this metal collar should be the last one. So we're going to go ahead and remove the spacer for now. So that's it. This is your upper packing, and this is your lower packing. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take these parts that I took off and throw it into our ultrasonic cleaner. And then we'll be right back to show you the installation of the new packing and put everything back together. So now that we have all of our parts out of our ultrasonic tank and clean, we're ready to assemble the fluid section back together with the new packing seals. So first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some lithium grease, put some gloves on first. And I'm going to generously lube this piston shaft here up to this joint. So I mean, just a little bit more, and that should do it. So I'm going to put the lithium grease aside, wipe my hands. So from here, we're going to go ahead and take our spacer, slip it back on, okay, and then we're going to take our central housing and slip that on until it butts up with this spacer here, okay. And then at this point, we're going to go ahead and start installing our socket cap bolts. So this top one here, parallel with the fluid outlet. So I'm just going to slide this down a little bit so I could see these holes here. Take my 16 millimeter Allen key. Okay, I'm going to start this first one here. Just make sure everything's lined up. Like so. Okay. I'm just going to keep things loose for now so I could get all these socket cap bolts into place. All right, so I'm ready to tighten everything down. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and position this spacer here between the pump motor and the central housing so that the spacer covers the long ends of, or the shafts of the socket cap bolts, and then also that provides you easy access to the wet cup. So you get to apply throat seal when needed. So all right, that's cinched down really well. So I'm going to actually take my dead blow hammer and cinch those down a little bit more. There we go. And then from here, we could go ahead and pull this shaft down as much as we can. And I think that's it. So we're going to take our upper packing, So the packing has a specific orientation. We should keep it as it is coming out of the package. Also, each seal has a peculiar shape. Oops. So here we have our upper packing. It has a specific orientation which we should keep and follow when inserting back onto the shaft. If we refer to our parts diagram, we could actually see here, it indicates the direction of which these seals should be facing. So if you take this apart and look, it actually has a V crown to the shape of it. So that V crown should be pointing up. So we're going to take our lithium grease. We're going to grease the outside of these packing seals. Okay, and then we're going to put a little bit more grease on the shaft here to help these packings to slide on a little bit easier. So with the V crown facing up, we're going to slide the packing on to the shaft. You might need to use our 60mm wrench to help guide through. And if you need to, one at a time is fine. Just like so. All right, so that, one more, and the metal collar. So now we have our upper packing installed. We're going to take our compression spring. Smallest end goes in first. So, and then we're going to push everything in as much as we can. So in this fluid opening, you can actually see the packing there. It's not quite seated all the way up, but that's okay because once we get the cylinder housing on, it should make everything tight. So at this point, we're ready to install our lower packing. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and open this up. Take my gloves off real quick. And again, the part number for your packing seals for this MEDUSA 30-to-1 pump is going to be TFS MEDUSA number 003. All right, and there's your lower packing. I'm going to refer to my parts diagram, and it shows that the V crown is pointing down. So there you go. So I'm going to put this aside here. And we're going to take our compression valve. We're going to apply a little bit of grease around there. Okay. And then we're going to take our lower packing with that V crown facing down. We're going to slide it right over the compression valve. So there we go, lower packing on the compression valve. Then we're going to take our spring and cup spring. We're going to slide this on here. Let's go ahead and lube the outside of this packing set. So there you go. So we're ready to install this back together. So we're going to need our 16mm box wrench just to help hold this into place. And I'm going to go ahead and push and start tightening as best as I can until it catches, the threads catch. So yeah, there we go. Our threads are catching. Great. Now I'm going to take my crescent wrench and tighten that compression valve down. Okay, and then just going to use my dead blow to get everything tight. That should do it. All right, so I'm just going to apply some more grease to the outside here, and now we're ready for the cylinder housing to be installed. So I'm gonna probably put a little bit of grease in here too, just to help get it on easier. All right, so that's ready to go on. It's going to be a little difficult at first, but and then we could probably use our dead blow light taps. There we go. Okay, and then we're gonna make sure that this spring here is gonna seat nicely inside this little channel. Okay. So at this point, we could go ahead and push up and against the central housing here. Maybe a couple more taps. There we go, until the threads meet up with that housing. And then we're gonna go ahead and cinch this down. And when you're reinstalling this, you could actually notice or see the packing and the spring inside of this fluid hole get compressed. All right. Oops, it's not even threading in. There we go. All right, take my crescent wrench, cinch down. All right, nice and tight. I can see my packing and spring are sitting on the top of this central housing firm, nice and firm. So I'm going to take my dead blow and give this a couple more whacks just to make sure it's seated on there nicely. Give this a wipe down. Okay, at this point we're ready to install your suction valve. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and use some plumber's tape. I'm going to tape around the threading here before I seat it inside the cylinder body, just to make sure that there's not going to be any leaks. So now I'm gonna use my fingers and press down on that tape so it seats nicely into those threads. And also, it's not necessary, but I'm gonna go ahead and apply thread sealant. Just a little bit around the start of that thread. Just a little. All right, now we're ready to install the non-return valve. It actually came with a crush washer, so you want to make sure that you install that with the non-return valve. So this is not necessary to put tape, but I will put glue, thread locker on it, or thread sealant. And then just because this has the crush washer, it's not necessary to put any plumber's tape. So I'm gonna go ahead and thread that on. Take my crescent wrench, cinch this down really well. Until there's no movement. Great, we're pretty much almost done. I'm gonna put this swivel fitting back on for our fluid manifold. And since this has a mechanical seal, it's not necessary to put any plumber's tape or thread locker. And that's it, folks. All right, guys, now that our rebuild is complete, we're ready to pressure test the pump and check for any leaks. If you are confident in your work and you do not discover any leaks whatsoever, at that point you would go ahead and flush your pump with acetone just to get all that excess residue out. And then once you're done with that, you would apply a throat seal to the wet cup and periodically check that so you don't have any problems with buildup of material created on the shaft. Thanks for stopping by.